According to the South African Insurance Association, local insurance fraud is in line with international trends and statistics. It estimates fraudulent claims in South African insurance could amount to as much as 32% of all claims submitted in any year. Experts also believe that someone's identity is stolen somewhere in the world every 2 seconds. That is crazy. Now, these are some of the issues that are being addressed at this year's Fraud Summit that's currently underway in Johannesburg. To discuss this, we're joined in studio by Roy Retief, South African Fraud Prevention Services Operations Manager. Good to have you in studio. Welcome to Morning Live.
Morning, Leanne. Thank you. Goodness
me, every 2 seconds someone's fraud is or identity is stolen. I mean, this is crazy. I mean, obviously we're talking about globally.
Yes, it's frightening, and South Africa is part of the global village, and we are seeing the same or similar events in terms of identity theft and identity fraud in South Africa. The patterns that we're seeing in this country are very similar to what we're seeing in, for example, the UK and Europe.
Yeah, I mean, the world is so small these days. I mean, we are literally all linked by this global network of the internet where everything is there, whether it be the internet, mobile phones, computer technologies, it's just, we're all joined together and we are all very, very vulnerable at the same time. How do we protect ourselves and our information from being stolen and becoming a victim of all this fraudulent activity that's around?
Well, Leanne, I think there are a couple of points to look at. I think the first one is, as you mentioned, the advent of the internet, or the internet usage increasing, particularly in a country like South Africa. We encourage people to be very careful about what information they share. On social media, for example. It's actually quite ironic. People are very sensitive in terms of what information they share if they have to, for example, sign in at a security estate or at an office building. But those same people are willing to share absolutely everything about themselves on social media, on platforms like Facebook and Twitter and etc. So one of the things that we would say is be very careful what you're sharing, enable your privacy settings on social media platforms, but then also be very careful about what information you share via other mediums. For example, we know about the phishing scams or smishing scams, as they're called, when it comes to SMSs. And I'll be honest with you, I get 5 or 6 SMSs a week.
Yeah, me
where
too.
I'm being invited to come and claim a prize of 50,000 Rand. All I need to do is contact this number. Some of them are getting quite clever. They'll actually say, look, there's a survey to be answered. If you answer the survey, we'll give you 50 Rands worth of airtime. Now, that's nothing more than just a way of harvesting personal information. And people see, believe it or not, that 50 Rand airtime as a major draw card to say, it's just a survey. Let me answer a couple of questions and I'll get my airtime. So be very careful about how you approach these SMSs, particularly unsolicited ones. Competition entries that you possibly have received via SMS that you've never entered. Lottery wins that you've never bought a ticket to. It's a way of getting your personal information as well. And then if you're interacting, for example, on devices like laptops and tablets, links in emails where people are asking for information purportedly from a bank or they change the modus operandi or way they commit the fraud every now and again. So it's tax season now. So you could very well find that, and they've done it in the past, the fraudsters are imitating SARS in terms of sending out emails purporting to be SARS to say that if you want your tax refund, you need to click on this link and give A, B, and C information.
I think I receive an SMS like that about 5 times a week. But the same thing on an account in a company that doesn't exist anymore, and it hasn't for many, many years. But people fall victim to this, and they think, oh, I've done something wrong. Let me quickly phone or reply and give the details and see what's going on. And then that's how your fraud is stolen. But what about online banking? I mean, everything is there. Everything that you could possibly expect from me, from my address to my banks, to my banking details, accounts, cell phone numbers, you name it. Everything is online about me and my life. How protected am I?
Yeah, and look, what I would suggest is in cases of online banking, you've got to be incredibly careful about your online credentials that you are using to log on to internet banking as well. And also where you log on to internet banking. We see a lot of trends where people are using internet cafes, for example, to do internet banking across the board, and these machines have typically got keyloggers and various other malware that are there to actually harvest your personal information. So what I'd suggest there, and please, I'm not speaking on behalf of the banking industry, but it's just generally good practice. Use devices that you can trust. Make sure that if you're doing your internet banking on a laptop, for example, that your laptop is up to date in terms of your antivirus software, your malware, anti-malware programs that you're running there, to prevent these types of credentials getting into the wrong hands.
And don't go into internet cafes and do these kind of things where people can get your information. How much is it estimated that fraud actually costs around the world? I mean, how big is it? Globally,
it's running into billions of dollars. If you look, we just saw a statistic recently out of the US. They're looking at over 100 billion in terms of identity fraud. South Africa, and I'm talking specifically from an SAFPS point of view, the information that we're sharing with our member group, we are assisting our clients to stop. We've looked at in the 2017 financial year just over 2.2 billion rand in terms of fraud losses, and we think we'd be scratching the tip of the iceberg there.
Wow. You've got to be very careful.
Big numbers.
So now you've got the summit that's taking place. Who's there? What's that all about?
Well, the summit is an initiative that was put together with SAFPS and also the Insurance Crime Bureau. And our theme for this year is collaboration versus cooperation in terms of preventing fraud. And essentially what it is, it's a gathering of like-minded organizations and our respective member organizations coming together to try and come up with ways that we can prevent fraud through collaboration. We cannot work in silos anymore. The same criminals that are targeting the banking industry are targeting the retail sector, the telco sector, the insurance sector. So, everybody's a potential victim here. So it's basically coming together and saying, as a collective, what can we do to prevent fraud in South Africa and to stop the scourge?
All right, Roy, we've got to leave it there. But thanks very much. But I think that key advice that you've given people out there is just be vigilant, be careful, and don't fall for these things, because I mean, people still do. They still think that they've got a relative living in Nigeria that wants to deposit all this money into their bank account. If it sounds too good to be true, it is too good to be true.
Exactly. That would be my parting shot.
All right. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us. Roy is from Roy Retief is from the South African Fraud Prevention Services Operations Manager. They're having a summit currently here in Johannesburg, and they are focusing in on fraud and how big it is. Every 2 seconds, someone's identity is stolen around the world.